pump it. Everybody go to Twitter and hashtag the things, pump it. You know, pump it real good. We need a good pump. Everybody deserves a nice Tezos pump. It's been too long. We need to pump it. Yeah. Hashtag the things, we need to pump it soon.
Apps went for record smart contract calls.
Hello.
You don't think Tesla's price
Hello,
will
is anybody
fall?
in this world? Ooh, is this a taco truck?
About Tezos, then I might delete ya. We coming back for that top 10. Got Calumet in. Here we go again. We coming for that win. Cause we got that Tesla. No, not that Tesla. Shut your damn mouth. Go and drink more cerveza.
Soon. Apps went for record smart contract calls. You don't think Tesla's price will fall?
Alright. Little intro music. Got over here to the dance floor. Yeah. Let's see what's happening around here in the world. Oh, I could hear music. Hold on, how do I turn this music up? I want to hear their music. Max it out. Let's see. How do I like bump up the tracks some for my partners? Maybe it's in these settings? No. World map, events, explore world, conversations. Here, let's try this. Let me grab that, throw it in the feeding thing. This is funny. I guess like the music is just like whatever it is. Click your mouse or use arrow keys to move around. Well, I'm like a real-time strategy player, so I'll just click the mouse. Be social, approach others to chat. Find hidden activities when your cursor becomes a hand. Ooh, magic 8-ball. Let's try this one. What? Uh-oh. I think I'm supposed to ask it something. Let's try it again. Is Tezos going to pump it? Oh man, I gotta ask again. Alright. Let's try one more time. Is Tezos going to pump it? Oh yeah, yes, definitely. The Edge of 8-ball said it. We're gonna pump it. I believe in the 8-ball. Alright, let's see. This is like a ticket booth here. What do they got going here? Ticket booth. The mother has disguised herself. Her babe
The
is
great
lost. And will
Zoltar
not
here
return.
with a
She
word
will
of
nurse
wisdom
her.
for your fortunes.
Oh, it's
Remember,
Zoltar. Okay.
it is a great deal better to do all the things you think you should than to spend the rest of your life wishing you had. No, do not be leaving this place with regrets. Live it up, my friend, and start by giving Zoltar more coins for more wisdom, no?
I need to give Zoltar some coins. Okay. Oh look, there's some cameras here. I'm gonna get my picture taken. Hello, Mr. Colin. How do you do? How do you do? Don't run away from me. Oh, he's just going for the swag, huh? Let's get some swag. Get your NFT built in the Tezos. Create your account. It's so easy. Collect your NFT comic book. We'll start sending free NFT. Blah blah blah. Create an account. What is this? I have to make an account. Wow, these things are kind of pricey. Whoa, 300 Tezos. Ooh, Shimmer Storm looks dope. Where do I create an account? Is right here? Sign in. It's broken. It won't let me do it. Man. Mentor Pop is not letting me do the thing. Let's try this one. Log in. Man, it's not letting me log it. Okay. So I just put my address here. Let me grab this one. There we go. That's not a bicycle. Boom. Collect your free comic book. Okay. Okay. What we got here? Grab swag bag. I think I got it. Alright. The NFT issue of the 9. Grab your swag bag. View schedule.
Step right up. Inside these seemingly ordinary doors lies the main event. What will you find? Who will you meet? Click them and enter the world of Inner Pop Blockparty.
Okay. What is the photo booth thing? Yeah. Do it. Do it. Do it. One more. One more. There. Okay. Let's do this thing. Oh, look. There's people here. Look at all those people.
Stierek.
A pose. Click the photo booth to take a photo and post it to the convention board.
Inside these
Okay.
seemingly ordinary doors lies the main event. What will you find? Who will you meet? Click them.
Ooh.
A pose.
I don't know. I kind of want to hit
a
up
really exciting
this
content.
dance floor again. Oh, hell yeah. This is what's up. Yeah. This is some dope music. Travel to unknown. Hold on. I just want to enjoy this music a little bit. Get down. Let's try this. Uh-oh, I'm in the pool. Wow. Swimming. No, I don't want to get wet, man. I'm gonna have to go change my clothes now. Local house radio, nice. Good stuff, guys.
Click the photo booth to
Alright. Enter the world. Is there another world now? It's a world. Hello? Does anybody hear me?
steer right. Pause. Click the photo
Oh
booth
man,
to
this
take a
place is
photo and
packed.
post it to the convention board.
What's going on here? Hello?
Yeah, she ate a good bit out of that, but that's the most recent.
NFT Forest Land. Damn, they got a lot of portos out there. Look at that. There's like 20 portos at least. Schedule. Damn, I'm pretty late already. 1 o'clock. Let's see. Panel discussion. Death to gatekeeping. 2:30. Maybe we can get that. Alright. Let's just go around here. Who are these guys holding the signs?
Let's take a selfie
Independent
and
Block
share
Party,
it with
NFT
everyone
forums.
here.
I'm good with selfie.
Have you checked out what's happening?
All these links go to the same place.
Center of the world.
Draw and guess. Enter your name. Okay, that's Sebuh. How do I play this? Oh, well, the captcha's broken, so I don't think it's working. Whatever. Is this where we fight? I don't get it. Got some Megatron thing looking right here. Basketball court. Looks like everyone was congregated down by the entrance. Artist Alley. How do we get in there though? Oh, Artist Alley.
Click on the doors to enter the fun.
Okay. Go take a poopy. Poopy time. Yeah, those are nice. Nice poopy. Damn, they took it over the whole block down here, man. This is like actually a block party.
Vaccinated.
Nope. What?
Your decks, allowing players to really play and get that experience starting in Q1. What's up, Z?
Oh, sorry, people were flickering in and out.
I think it's because we have so many folks, and I think that Topia only allows 10 to be in your, like, I don't know, your sphere of influence at a time, but I could be mistaken.
Right, we don't have the stage anymore. That's the problem.
Exactly,
Should we split up?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe we should split up. I don't know. Like, how many people? I think there's only, there aren't that many more than 10 people here. I think we're okay.
We'll vote someone out.
Survivor style.
How you guys doing? Can you hear me? This is Sebuh.
Can you hear me now?
I
Yes.
can hear that.
I made y'all all broadcast spatial, so you're not broadcasting to the whole world, just everyone nearby, and I'm trying to queue up a broadcast podium. The reason you were flickering is because I was giving you broadcast permissions again, so that you can talk to everyone. And the reason that I'm like struggling to do the broadcast podium is because I have two 27-inch curved displays. going on and my computer's struggling. So if you give me a moment, a microphone will appear.
That makes
Appreciate
sense.
you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Faux show.
Have our own second panel out here now.
I mean, that's basically the plan. Is just there's
Yeah,
more
do a
Q&A.
Q&A for as long as people want to hang out and ask questions and.
I mean, I have to put at some point I want to put my kids to bed, but barring that, I've got the rest of the day.
It's only 4 o'clock. You've got time.
That's what I mean. So, if anybody has anything they want to, it doesn't have to be asked. Like I just sort of, we're curious how people think about the game and the space, and what questions, what things they want to see, out of the game, your impressions of the cards, go for it.
Is the game playable already?
Oh, you can ask any questions. We might not be allowed to answer, but...
I mean, he's seen 70 of the cards. He was in the early time.
Oh, I see.
If you have any questions, you can step over to this microphone as soon as I walk away from it.
Never mind. You can't ask any questions then.
I guess nobody could hear me.
Oh, so we have a microphone now.
Yeah, RHB's on the mic.
Got a first edition.
Yeah.
Yes, whoever was just asking that, we can hear you. We'll move over to it for you.
Would you like anyone want to say? Because we're here to to listen and to respond, and so far it's been silent. There's things we can. I mean, we yeah.
What do you mean additions? You mean chroma options and stuff, or? Oh.
I think I'm gonna need a second microphone.
Yeah, so these particular cards we minted because you have to mint them all at once. A relatively large number of potentials, but they'll only be on sale at this fixed price for about a week. And once that happens, whatever didn't sell, they're gone. And then that'll be how many there are. We don't think any of them will sell out. We think we'll be able to just sell to demand at that price for that week's period. But after there is a theoretical limit where we will say we minted and we're done. The cards that we make for the general game, I said we'll use the bonding curve, and the numbers will, there'll be a fixed number that people can have at any set price over time. But we don't have we don't know how many copies because we want for a common. The whole point is that this is the card we want our players to have. So we want to see about how many players there are, and about how many players need to have it, and they each need 3 or 4 copies or whatever it is we decide, and then we'll multiply and we'll figure it out. Sure. So, right. So a bonding curve is a one-to-one correspondence between price and quantity. So the idea is, I say that, say we have a free card, say that, Devastatrix turns out to be free. She's from the comic. She, she may or may not be free, but let's.
Alright, let's try this other area. That looks kind of cool. Yeah, I just can't find myself to buy one card for 5 Tezos right now without like actually even ever played the game or knowing how to play it or what the cards do or whatever. I mean, you could buy a pack of. I could go play Magic Arena for free, and I don't have to pay for cards. I could just win the cards, but these guys want us to pay for the cards, so this card have some kind of what is this? This is like a tear and fragment of space and time. Let's go back. Oh wow, where'd I go? Oh, the world loads weird. I don't know what time zone these times are. Oh well.
As well, that there are many parasitic sort of qualities of many of the other freemium games, including ones that, I myself have worked on, where it's, you buy a card for so much of the crafting currency, and then you sell it back and you get a quarter back. Or you go play a paper game and you buy a card at like $5 and you sell it back literally hours later for $2. And it's like, we don't want to live in that world. That's just not a very fun world to live in. It's just always feel bad, no matter what your experience is. It's the experience of buying and selling cards is a feel bad moment, and removing that horrible experience and minimizing it as much as possible has sort of been a stated goal, and one that Zvi has been very, very, very loud about.
Yeah, like we can give you actual numbers now, but I will say that when I talked to Zvi, he said it's a very generous buyback policy. And then when he told me the number, it was way, way better than what I imagined when he said it was very generous. Right? It was a lot.
That's good news.
Yeah, the intention is basically that there will be no reason when you want just a basic copy of a card to ever use a secondary market or a secondary source, unless you just happen to have a friend who just wants to give it to you. Like,
well, the idea for the secondary market is largely the crumbing things. We didn't get to cover that. I guess I can pull up the little sort of screenshots if we want to. We can show that off of the different things that you can actually chrome. I think that was one of the things that we kind of left out in our presentation. We just sort of ran out of time.
Yeah, I'm sad because I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that now. So sneak peek to everybody here. It won't be in the leader edition that ends up on a website or in a cool little video, but damn it, I spent time on this. I'm getting this shown.
Absolutely. Show them the fade on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I may have just shared the file. Give me a second.
Yeah, you shared everything.
Yeah, well, now you got spoilers already. You're gonna get it revealed in a nice.
Yeah, lower left, one from the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are basically several different paths for Chromos, right? You can get a special comic style title. Right here, you can see that. So the Fatum on the left is the regular Fatum, and the Fatum on the right is the comic style Fatum, right? And then each card that we, Professor Helos has his own comic style Professor Helos as well, and stuff like that.
Yeah, when we were doing the first test, we made physical cards just to test with, and the artist that we commissioned to just lay all the cards out for us just to physically do it, just did this on his own because he thought it was cool. And we just said it was so amazing, we just kept going. It's really, I'm a really big fan. And you can combine this with the other types of Chrome, like the big border that you can unlock, that will come unlocked with the promo cards, right? So you can have the big border. You can have both the border and the thing at the top and everything else. If you ever got the golden version of it, it would also, you could combine them however you wanted. But you never have to do it. You can always turn it off if you decide you don't like it. So the idea being, if you have the cool Phaeton, you wouldn't sell that to us, right? Because we're not going to pay people more money for the cool version. But other people probably could, and maybe they should. Mm-hmm. And so, you can go to a secondary market and go, I want the cool Phaeton, someone else to have unlocked it for me. And potentially you can get paid for playing the game, because other people will buy your unlocks for more than it costs you to buy the card.
So someone said hello.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is Sebuh. I just finally got my mic working, I think.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah,
But
thanks,
yeah,
guys.
to sort of simplify the whole system to give a big picture thing, what we were talking about there in the inspect views, I'll scroll back a few pictures. So each of these quests, there will be several of these quests that will unlock these aspects. So like we were talking about, again, you start with that left version of Phaeton, right? This is your very base version of what the card looks like. One of the quests will be to unlock the style of name. So there will be sort of two progressions there. There'll be the base name, then there will be, you know, a gold sort of more fancy text that is, you know, throughout all of the cards will have, but then each one will have its own unique comic style text like you see there with the Phaeton. And as he was pointing out, then you've got the specialized faction border. And then, of course, what we were trying to show you with the animation earlier, but there were probably way too many people there, is, you know, you can unlock play animation. So when you play your character, they'll have this sort of special play animation when they're arriving onto the field. And each character has this. So as you unlock these quests, as you complete them, that is done on a single NFT. So you can do this for each of your Phaetons. If you decide that, hey, I want to own more than however many is the maximum that goes into a deck, you could be the person that's just like, yeah, all I want to do is I'm just going to keep completing all the quests on my Phaetons. You're never going to sell those Phaetons back to us. In theory, you could. But, like, imagine Phaetons going for 1 Tez, and we're going to buy it for some amount less than 1 Tez. Somebody out there probably values you've completed all the quests for them. That's what the pure market-to-marketplace is for. That's where you can be like, yeah, I've got a Phaeton with all of the quests completed, all the achievements completed. It's got, you know, all of the fancy sort of cosmetics unlocked, like we were talking about with this one, and it would also have its still play animation. Of course, we also have, let me play this video for you. We've also got, you know, animations on the card. This will happen while it's in play, when you're in the deck builder. Like, the ability to unlock all of these different cosmetics, and like Z and Paula were saying, this is fully on you. That if you like 2 aspects of any, you don't like 2, or you like, you know, there's 3 variations of the name, and maybe there's 3 variations of the frame. You like variation 2 on one, and 1 on the other, and 3 on the other. We're going to have it such that, if I can sort of minimize what's going on here, there's a little eyeball button here. This allows you to fully customize all of the different cosmetic features of the card, and you can do that on a card-by-card basis. So if you want them to all look unique and make them feel like, even though, hey, this is the same character, I can make it feel different, or you want to make your assets or your actions look different, you have the ability to fully customize that to your own level of experience.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. So I had a question about the bonding curve and then the popularity of the game, because right, you may start, let's say the game is awesome, 1,000 of us start playing, and then I don't know, you get some coverage, some news, something, and then all of a sudden, like, there's 1,000 of us and 20,000 people jump in and want to play. How do you say, I mean, is the bonding curve capped at some number so the price will never go above? It didn't sound like that from the linear thing you described, but then is it something that you could just adjust the checkpoints at some point, because it will be crazy hard for those people to get in because they will have to pay a ton because it will have jump, or maybe it's not and it's just crazy cheap for the first 1,000, and I don't know. I was just wondering how the scaling will work with the bonding curve.
Right. So the first thing is, a bonding curve is like many things in crypto. It's designed not to let us screw with it. Right. So like once we say this is what Shimmer Storm costs at any given quantity, then we're stuck. Like we are not able to change this. You know, like we are simply designing it to not be something that we can change. So if a game suddenly gets orders of magnitude more people in it, then so our intention is that the bonding curve will in fact not level off. There is no maximum price, and there is in fact realistically a maximum quantity, such that if there's some number beyond which the price will start to go very nonlinear, and like we will still be adjusting enough that we can keep a accurate market wherever the price, supply, and demand are, but the card will in fact then get out of reach for a new player. It will no longer be realistic. You know, we may or may not end up with a Black Lotus, but like, you know, all of the old Magic cards have had this phenomenon happen to them because they're not
right. And then what I was wondering was like maybe some cards are provide a functionality that's like commonplace for the game, that they could have like functional reprints, like with a different bonding curve as the game scales, or something like that, or.
So, our intention is that we will do our best to avoid doing, we very much do not want to do like identical functional reprints, because we feel like that's impinging on the value of the people who originally invested, and because frankly design space is deep and wide, right? Like if Shimmer Storm or Time Blotter turns out to be like a foundational card but too expensive, there's really no reason you can't make a card that serves the same purpose but does it in a different way, right? Like it costs a different amount, that has different numbers attached, that has a somewhat different ability. Like, you can imagine, like, sort of what Time Blotter is for, right? Time Blotter is kind of like, well, I'm scouting a lot, I'm reviewing a lot of cards, I want payoffs, I want to make sure I can punch through and finish this game, right? Now, we've already thought about, like, 2 other designs that do this from a different angle. So if Time Blotter, we go with Time Blotter, and then, like, we decide, okay, Time Blotter's too expensive, I'd much rather go with one of those other designs to take its place in the equivalent of standard, right? Rather than like just preprint like, well, the Time Blotter Mark II. I mean, we'll make other versions of Time Blotter because he's a major character, but like rather than not a functional reprint. And and again, like we'll find ways to gently nudge the if there's somehow a hundreds or thousands dollar card like away from the format people are actually playing. And say, okay, you opt. There's a place to play with those cards, but the standard way people play is not the place.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah.
Another thing that Zvi brought up during the panel also is we are looking to have, various different formats. So there's going to be a way to play with the cards that cost, no dollars. There's going to be a way to play with certain caps of like, this is how much these cards are worth, such that, yeah, if that card is, so much though that, hey, not enough people can get their hands on them, we're going to have other formats in which people can actually play. It is a thing that, we're obviously going to keep track on. And design side, like he was saying, there's many different ways for us to tackle this. But additionally, we are going to make sure that we are providing players with the way they want to play the game, and also various different ways, at least at the start, in terms of like, how do I want to get involved? How do I want to get engaged?
Yeah, I don't want to punish my early adapters, people who are here now, by saying that, like, you bought something that's rare, and now, like, it's too expensive, so we're going to fix that. No, it's not something to fix. It's something to accommodate and accept. But, one of the advantages of not having booster packs, of not distributing cards at random, is that we are not unable to acknowledge the value of our cards. So, in games that have random distributions, for legal reasons, it's very important for people not to acknowledge the value of those cards. Because they could be accused of running lotteries. And so this prevents you from doing a lot of things you'd otherwise like to do. But in our game, no, we know exactly what our cards are worth, because it's a market, we acknowledge they're worth that, and then we can, for example, use this number as an input for a format, if we wanted to. And you can imagine where that goes.
Hey Zvi, I have a question. I was trying to go on the Minter Pop and try and buy a card, but it just, like, none of the buttons work. Like, sign in doesn't work, login doesn't work, buy doesn't work.
Wait, what? Okay. Who do we,
It's
I was
working,
gonna say,
just for what it's worth.
I'm hoping that there's like something like maybe you didn't log in yet, because I was testing this myself until the late hours of last night and working with different folk there when I found small issues. I never had the issue you had, so let me see if I can try to sort that out with you.
Kind of my luck. Like everywhere I go, I just run into bugs. But yeah. Is it because I have to be logged in on my Temple wallet, or what is it?
I believe you're supposed to have your wallet should be logged in.
But
I know we're Leonard.
Sorry for
Is he here?
like you
I
could
see
see.
a
Can you
Leonard.
see on my screen, like in my video
Could be a
screen? You should
coincidence.
see like where I'm at. Like
Yeah, I see something. I'm not able to maximize it for some reason. Like on this
Here,
thing.
I'll move off to the upper right with
Okay,
the person
yeah.
currently talking, and I'll see if I can help you out.
Yeah, why don't you two work on it, and Paulo and I can.
Excellent. Yes, yes, yes. Let's do this. Thank you. Upper right. Where is it? Hello, Corey.
Hey, how are you doing? And it looks like we are lucky enough that we actually have our project manager here, our product manager. Where you at, Leonard? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man.
All right, let's see if we can figure this out for you. So, what is the experience that you're actually hitting right now?
I click sign in and it does nothing.
Click sign in and it does nothing.
There, let me see. Can you see my screen?
Let me tab back over to it. Give me 1 second. Okay, I can see your screen now.
It says blocked by client, failed to load resources, mentor pub. I don't know. I was looking at the console here. So Q stripe event element. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's blocking it. It says something to do with stripe.com, maybe Versal's Insight.
This is where I wish I had a degree in.
Yeah, me too.
Computer science or something. Like, this is my degree in math and economics. It doesn't like really cut it.
I'm gonna try to just do a hard refresh and see if it opens.
Are you on what
No,
browser are you on? Out of curiosity.
I'm on Google Chrome, latest version.
You're on Chrome.
Yeah. There's
That's what
actually
I'm
a
on
lot
as
of
well.
errors. A lot of errors. But content security policy of your site blocks the use of eval in JavaScript. So maybe my security settings are not letting it to go through, but
potentially. I just hit sign in on my side, and I am also hitting where nothing is happening.
Okay.
Let me open up the console over here.
Maybe it's my ad block. Let me turn it off for this website. Let's try that. Nah, the disabling the ad blocker is still. So, error DOM inspection, local storage property from window, access design for the content. So it's trying to get into my Kukai wallet, but it denied it. Weird. But I don't even have the Kukai wallet open right now. Yeah, I don't know, man. I was just trying to try and buy a card. Sorry to like.
No. Like, these are the issues that I want to hear about, because if I can't solve it with you really quickly, I can at least get a hold of somebody who hopefully can solve it. That is at least the nice thing of being in my shoes, where it's like, if I can't help the person, at least I know somebody who I can go talk to that can.
Do you want me to download the error logs and send it to you?
Yeah, if you can do that, go ahead and send that to me in a conversation, and I'll send it over to folks.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. I do a lot of this in Tezos. I help where I can with bug reporting. I don't know why I always get the bugs. I don't get it.
Kind of wild too, because like I was literally testing this for like most of the day yesterday. Like a lot of us basically dropped what we were doing in all hands, and it's like, all right, final test on the website. Let's actually make sure all this works. And the exact issue you're hitting, obviously we would have all hit this on the very first thing. So the fact that this is happening now, it's like, this is super annoying. Obviously we should have caught this, but maybe it's like, maybe there are 5,000 people on the website or 10,000 people on the website. I have no idea what's going on there. It feels like we should have been able to scale that and find it, but hey. Hopefully we can help you solve it out here.
Okay. I'll try to doing it with maybe I could clear the site cache and try again. Let's try that. So I just deleted the site cache. Nah, it's still the same thing, man. Like the sign-in button or the logout button, they literally they're not doing anything. I don't think it's the too many people on the site because the site itself loads like
Right, yeah,
normally.
you're actually able to go to different assets here. Like, you can actually click on all the different NFTs. It's just a matter of what happens if you try to purchase one of them, out of
Nothing.
curiosity.
It just doesn't. It just says login, and then I can't do that.
And then it's the exact same thing? Okay, let me see.
And
Let
I'm
me just
logged
verify
in
that
on my
also happens
Temple
to me.
wallet, and I got Tezos, so I don't know why. Alright, I'm gonna I don't know where to send the log. It's like a .log file. You want to give me an email to send it to?
Here, yeah, that actually works. Let me shoot you my work email, actually.
I'm just a humble Tezos baker. I don't want to start any problems, sir.
No, like I said, no problem at all. I just want to help you be able to do this. This is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy my cards on the black market now.
Go underground to get them.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to send a runner.
All right, were you able to get that message that I sent you? If you go into
yeah, I got a
conversations
little red
there?
thingy here. All right, there we go.
Sweet.
Okay, I will send it to you, sir. Mr.
Sweet. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Yeah, I'll try and use a different browser and see what happens, but it's just annoying because I have to redo the wallets and stuff on it.
Yeah, I totally hear you there. It's like going through a fiasco where it's like, dude, I had this all formalized into a simplified process, so I didn't have to do this.
It's a $1 trillion economy, but our wallets are all broken still for some reason. I don't get it. That's what bugs me the most about crypto still.
Solving some of the world's problems, you know, maybe we can start solving some of our own while we're here too.
Yeah, man, I totally get it. Okay, let's see where. I don't even know where I put it. Into pop blog. But you know, you might be right. It might just be overloaded, but I don't know. It seems more like I don't know. I'm not really good at looking at errors, but I'm just trying to guess. Like, it says DOM exception failed to read local storage is the main thing, and then it says access denied. So it has something to do with it has something to do with Kukai, I believe, because it's gaining a lot of issues reported from Kukai. So you're using Wallet Beacon to connect people's wallets, right?
I don't actually know how the back end is set up. I haven't, actually communicated with the engineers to do that. I've largely just interfaced with Drew, who's sort of been leading the project management on that side.
Okay. Yeah. Even on the fresh like incognito browser, it wasn't working either.
Okay.
I will try Microsoft Edge now.
That was exactly. I was like, let me go full primitive here. Let me try this.
Wow, it's not working on my there we go. Now, oh, I see what your issue is. So you're using you guys are using like direct authentication thing through Kukai. It looks like with Google or Twitter, and that's why I can't log in.
Right, you're never getting that pop-up that says sign in with Google or sign in with Twitter.
Yeah, you're using Kukai's direct auth wallet management thing. So people that are trying to buy cards with, say, like their Temple wallet, they're not gonna be able to get in. So everyone's being asked to use a Google authenticated or Twitter authenticated Kukai wallet. You guys are, I don't know if you could change that because you're limiting yourself to a very small group of people.
Yeah, I don't know. At the very least, I know that I can bring it up, but I'm also, hitting that even on my side where I don't even have that kind of wallet. I only have a Kukai wallet, and I'm actually hitting the same thing that you're expressing.
Okay. Yeah, the sign in button loads really fast on my Microsoft Edge, so maybe it's an issue with Chrome users. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually like pulling up my
Because
iPhone here.
in
and
my
see if
Chrome
I
have my Temple, my Kukai wallet logged in. Let me see if I could just log in my Kukai wallet and then see if it works. Because I have the wallet open now. I click sign in and it does not work. So, but I guess that's not. So like you have to do it in a certain order to get in. I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe it's something you have to like sign out of the one wallet and then like restart the entire browser or something. I don't even know.
Okay, let me log it in. No, nah, it's not good. Oh, it's all good, man. I'll use Microsoft Edge to try and grab a card or two. Thanks.
Right on. I appreciate you. Sorry, man.
All right, I sent you guys the logs too. Good luck with the issues figuring them out.
Appreciate you.
All right, see you.
Cheers.
In client.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not MVP, but I do envision it. I would answer.
Yep.
Okay. The other question. By all means, jump back in.
Hey.
I
Yeah.
don't see you, so I'm worried I don't hear you either.
Oh, I didn't even see there was a mic. I thought we were all just chit-chatting.
Oh, there you are. All right.
Hey. So with the digital card game itself, I don't know what you're allowed to talk. Is it only casting things on your own turn, or is there interaction on your opponent's turn other than triggers? I really like instant speed things and resource management, bluffing cards in hand, all that kind of stuff that comes with Magic that you lose in Hearthstone and Gods Unchained and any of those other games.
No. You're asking a very central question that was central to the dilemmas that we designed and central to our game attempts to square the circle and to get the best of both worlds.
Okay.
And we can't talk about our solutions yet, but I will say you do not have options on your opponent's turn. Your opponent still has to worry about what's going on. And not just like there are 4 secrets that might trigger and
okay.
And you know what one of them is. But like much more we made a much more serious effort to square this circle. And I am very curious what you will think when you see the answer, but I can't talk about it today.
Hey, just as a player, I appreciate all of that already, so Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question for you, Zvi. Is the game already playable, or is it in beta, or what's the goods on that?
Okay, so the game is the game is playable by us. The game is not in a state where we'd be comfortable letting other people play. Like we did a test briefly. One of the people who was in the test is here and asked me a bunch of questions. But we are not ready for an alpha.
Okay.
But like we are able to test cards. We are able to try decks out, and see what happens. And the game is ready when it's ready. You don't rush greatness, and you don't rush software.
Yes, of course. Cool, man. I was just wondering. So right now, any cards we buy, like their stats or whatever, might change later.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
because they might be too OP or they might suck too much. Or
UP. Yeah, OP or UP.
Yeah.
Right? So like basically, we want to be data driven as much as possible, and until we put the cards in front of people who aren't us, no number of games that like I play against Corey or that Corey plays Apollo are going to tell us the real answers because a few people have blind spots.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So yeah, no, we reserve the right. Shimmer Storm, I kind of want to preserve very close to its current state for those who know what Shimmer Storm is, because I think the design is really, really cool. And like, but you know, a lot of these cards are guesses, right? Like Zoe, I have not shuffled up Zoe in a deck designed to make Zoe good. So, how good is Zoe? I can imagine Zoe costing like one too much or one too little, and neither would surprise me that much. Okay, Corey's giving me the thumbs up. That Corey is saying.
Okay, I have another question. Right now I saw there's like some cards for sale, different prices, and I'm wondering. I'd rather buy packs of cards with, you know, like maybe a rare and a bunch of commons and uncommon. I'm more into that mode, or just buying a whole deck, like a pre-made deck. Is that kind of thing going to be available, or is it available already?
Okay, so pre-made decks, we will decide later. So the way you buy cards by default, as a regular player, this is my vision, right? That you go to the deck builder, you turn off any filters for cards you own, to the extent that you need to, and you just build your deck with whatever you want. And the prices are like there in the deck builder for you to see them because it's integrated into the game. And the deck builder says a number, like here's the deck's value, and another number says here's how much the cards you don't own cost. And when you're done building it, you can click on the Buy It Now button inside the deck builder. And once it verifies your payment information and that you're you and all that, you buy all the cards and your deck is playable immediately.
Okay, cool.
And that's the default way to do it. Packs, as I mentioned, no randomness, because when you have extremely generous buybacks, if you opened a random pack, you would just sell the cards you didn't want back to us or on the secondary market to buy the cards you do want. So the randomness wouldn't do anything. So there's no point. And it has and also the randomness creates legal problems.
Got it.
So, you know, we just seek to avoid it.
Okay, cool. So, do you have like an estimate cost of how much like a starter deck will cost?
So, I mean, there will be the first format you play will cost 0. There will be some number of cards. We are currently testing an actual concrete set of cards, but I don't want to talk about numbers. I don't want to set expectations either too high or too low.
Right.
That we think is sufficient for a metagame of, like, you know, there's no one best deck. You can play any of the factions. You can combine the factions of different factions in interesting ways. And you can play that way for weeks or months if you so inclined. And they'll even, you know, there'll be a queue you can play that forever. And like, if you're so inclined. If there isn't a constructed format with decks that are reasonably priced, we screwed up. But I don't want to commit to what reasonably priced means because I don't have data right now, like, on what players think reasonably priced is or is willingness to pay in that context. And I don't want to set expectations that I don't want to deliver on. But, like, I imagine there being, like, you know, a form of this is what the decks cost, you know, format, and that number, like, we've toyed around with different numbers, and, you know, if they're as expensive as standard Magic typically is, we screwed up.
Yeah, I come from the Magic Gathering world. I started playing that in like '95 or something like that, and now I play on Magic Arena. So I put money into the game, you know, so I could get the crystals and whatnot.
Yep.
But you could play for free if you really wanted to. It's just a slower grind.
I've put in a total of $50, and that was because I bought Throne of Eldraine, because I saw the spoiler list, and it was completely nuts, so I bought the free box. So I was like, if I don't want to grind this set, it's going to be so miserable for me, I'm going to regret it, so I had to buy it. But otherwise, I've just, like, made do. And, like, I've played in, like, Pro Tour level events where, like, I still didn't break and, like, just buy all the cards and, like, just dealt with it, because I hated paying for the cards in that context so much. Because they're not your cards. You don't own them, right?
Nah, you don't. They're just, like, sitting in your profile.
I appreciate that I can play this game for free indefinitely because I'm good enough that I can, like, win at draft, basically. But, you know, not everybody has that privilege, and grinding is a miserable experience for a lot of people, and I don't want to duplicate that. So, you know, again, our goal is, you know, people, you know, paper Magic is more than we want our decks to cost. And unlike Paper Magic, you can buy one deck, and then if you decide you want to play a different deck, you can sell that deck back and buy a different one. And we're going to make transaction costs low enough that that's a practical thing to do.
Excellent. Sounds good, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys. Really want this to take off. I'm actually doing a live stream right now on YouTube, so more people will probably be seeing this later. Hope you don't mind.
No,
Hell yeah. No, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I gotta run, but thanks a lot, guys. I really look forward to seeing this next year.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of like the time frame you have for the release of the game. Like maybe like alpha, invite only alpha might be in how long you think, or when will the game like be gold release for everybody to start playing? When do you think that might be?
Corey, what do they give us to tell the people?
Yeah, the first thing on the calendar in terms of trying to get into the hands of, people outside of our doors, so to speak, is sort of the middle to late of Q1 of next year. So we're looking, somewhere in like late February, March of 2022 is what we're sort of, aiming for at this current time.
Okay, great. And then that sounds good. I have another question actually too. I went to a NFT conference in Los Angeles like a week or two ago, and I met a really cool artist named Jason Primrose. How would an artist apply to be able to be one of the artist creators that are, making the art for these cards?
That's an awesome question that I don't even know the answer to right now. I think that, at least on our end, I know one of the things that we're looking to do is actually get an art director. And if we had an art director, I would immediately be like, so what's the plan here? How do we do this? Because that is also something, at least, on my radar, where it's like I've worked with writing art descriptions before, and, you sort of eventually learn, hey, these people are really good at doing these kind of things. I've never done anything in the sort of comic book space before, but if we had somebody where it's like, hey, draw this character doing this action, that seems totally in the wheelhouse. I don't know if Zvi or Paula, if you guys have any sort of expertise in terms of knowing what our process looks like for that, in terms of, hey, if we have an artist we want to reach out to just yet.
Yeah, I do not. If you can find Drew or BDM, they both will know more. I think our art people are actually here as well. It's just not my department. I don't know. Like, I am in awe of these artists, but I don't know. But like, Brian has known these people, like the key comic book artist, his whole life. Like, he's been really into this stuff in a way that I haven't. And so the way that we got our initial people, I think, is we just used his existing contacts.
Yeah.
But definitely, if someone wants to be an artist, they should reach out. And I'm sure that, if things go well, like, look, we're making comic books from a variety of lines. I'm sure we have great demand for artists that are good at this. So.
Excellent. Cool. Yeah, I'll see what I can do to link him up, because he's got really amazing content, and he just needs like a little bit extra, connecting the dots guy. That's where I'm trying to help him out with.
Yeah, I just don't know anything about that side of the business, so.
All good.
Right.
I have a question on the economic side. On the like, all transactions and everything will be on the Tezos blockchain and using Tezos token, or will you have a specific currency for game transactions?
Tezos is our currency.
Okay.
We believe that games that try to issue their own currencies are doing that for reasons other than the quality of the experience of the player. And like, there are some reasons that are not just the obvious one that are also like real, but we believe we can use Tezos itself. We want to keep the game as accessible to non-crypto experts as we can, such that if you don't know what the Tezos symbol means, you can still play our game. But that will be the currency.
Awesome. No, I think I agree with the philosophy, and also they could even stake Tezos and gains like some income that could be used like to buy the game. I mean, I was thinking Q1 for next year. You can just buy something and let it stake for a while and be ready to jump into the game when you release. It sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I have another question for you, Z. Will the game be played through the browser, an application similar to Magic Arena, or will it, which one of those are you guys more towards leaning towards?
Corey, did you get the official briefing on this?
Yeah, so mostly what we're looking at right now is through browsers. There is the potential in the future to have an application as well. The reason for, largely going through browsers is accessibility in terms of very, very easy on both our end and on the user's end to just make this work on every platform. We want to make this, something that is cross-platform, is simple, is approachable, and is easy to do. There are sort of limitations in place that are preventing us from maybe doing it in a way where it's just, an application on every platform right now. But the at least plan currently is to operate through the browser, but potentially that would expand into an app as well in the future. But those would always be cross-platform. Those would never be something like, I have a different, collection on my account on the browser versus the app. That will never be the case. It would always be something that is linked up.
Yeah, because it's all on the blockchain. It's all coming from one source. You don't have to have like different databases for different consoles or whatever.
Exactly.
I think that's a good approach. So like you're probably gonna use like Unity Engine and OpenGL or something like this on the browser.
Don't know the specifics in terms of what we can go into there, but largely in which the space you're talking. Yeah, well, exactly.
Awesome.
I had a question on ownership and secondary market, if you guys are ready.
Yeah, go for it.
So it's multi-part. So I have a separate Tezos wallet that I had before buying some of the promos today. When I bought the promos today through I think it's Minterpop, which I like that name, they had me create a new wallet connected to my Twitter account, which is extremely weird. It also allowed a Google option, which seemed weirder to me, personal. And I wanted to know if there is any seed phrase or way to have access to that wallet through something other than Minterpop, if it has its own standalone app, or what exactly the back end is that, if it was Kukai or any of the other similar ones, and how to access that separately. And then I have another one about the secondary market after that.
Z, do you want to tackle that one, or you want me to answer that as best I can?
If you have the answer, go for it. If not, I will.
Yeah, so the back end of that is a Kukai wallet. So to my understanding is there should be a long seed there that you have that will allow you to do that however you want to. I don't know the specifics in terms of why that is set up on the hey, sign in with Google or sign in with Twitter. I don't know the specifics going on there, but my understanding is that is a Kukai wallet that has been set up.
Okay, I'll do a little poking around and see if I can get that extracted.
I don't know. I assume they chose that method because we are reaching out to people who are less sophisticated with their blockchain than the person we're currently talking to, and I have much evidence this is the case. But the cards are not locked to the one wallet. They are not supposed to. You can transfer them just like any other
token ID saved on the blockchain and stuff, right? Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, and if I can't figure out the back end on the Twitter one, I'll just ship them over to the other wallet. That's not a problem at all.
Yeah, you can't actually get the wallet backup or seed phrase for the Twitter direct off Kukai wallets. So if you want to have them safe, I would transfer them to another wallet.
They'll go to my hardware wallet then. Okay.
Yeah, they could definitely go to your hardware wallet. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, the general advice is anything you want to be truly safe, you keep in a hardware wallet.
Yep. All right. And then on that...
this many times by people who are much more invested in blockchain than I am.
Exactly, and that's kind of why it threw me off. But again, I knew that you guys were reaching for the Twitter
users. Mostly in a knowledge sense, not in a monetary sense. But yeah.
So a follow-up on that. So, but then your game account, when you play, would be linked to a particular wallet? Could you use multiple wallets, or does it need to be one of the native or the Kukai wallets that you guys set up with Twitter or Google? If you know that, if it's not set up yet,
We haven't set up that part of the software yet, but I would be shocked if you couldn't specify any wallet you wanted.
Attention. The next panel
okay,
is about to begin.
Where do we go to get in the panel?
Hall H?
Yes, Hall H,
All
which
right,
should be north and slightly west of us from where we are currently.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to go jump in.
Click the podium at the center of the stage to teleport over to Hall H.
I forget what.
Paisley!
Yo, Sebuh.
Paisley, man. What's up, brother?
Not much.
I'm doing a live stream right now. Say what's up.
Hey, what's up, live stream?
Alright, see you, man.
You know where we're going?
I'm trying to find the I'm
The
gonna
thing.
try and find, I think it's like somewhere in the center front. Oh, here it is, over here, to the left.
Just watching all the avatars.
I like the dancers.
Yeah.
Security.
The Sebuh is now dancing.
Yeah, you can do that with your own. You can. If you touch the icon, you can make it dance.
This definitely has the tail end of a convention vibe here.
Yes,
kind of the last panel of the weekend. People dancing, getting ready to go to happy hour.
Yes.
Like all of us, like a color coded, just like it is on like a last day of a convention. Okay, everyone. This is the Evolution of Comics panel here at the Interpop Block Party. I want to thank everyone in the audience for joining us. Before I make introductions, I just want to set a few ground rules so everyone kind of has their expectations in mind. We'll be conversing here on stage for about 30 minutes, and then we'll open the floor up to questions. At that time, I'll let you know, and we will turn the audience microphones on, and there will be two microphones that you'll see right in front of the stage. We'd ask people to line up at either of the microphones for your turn to ask questions. The way this system works, only one person for you ask your question. As we give you the answer, if you could go ahead and step away so they can speak their turn. If you have any questions of us that don't make it to the panel, you're more than welcome to approach us after the panel or to find us on social media. We'll be sharing that information near the end of the panel. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guests here. First, I'd like to introduce Tracy Kubert. She's been on the front lines of digital comics for years. She's worked with everyone from Marvel to Adobe, HP, Nickelodeon, Sci-Fi, Hearst, and probably a few more that I'm forgetting. She really has a firm grip on understanding digital comics and comics as a reader, as a artist, and what the artists and writers are dealing with, and also the companies. But it all goes back towards the reader and the reader experience and how they can kind of translate that so people can understand and appreciate that. Tracy, would you like to say a few words before we go to the next person about yourself?
I think you did a pretty good job, although I did spend a lot of time in advertising and I have a background in product design, UX and UI and research as well.
Okay.
Which is usually how I approach things. So.
That's perfect. Okay, next we have Stuart Moore. He's a writer and editor both of comics and prose. His latest book is the Marvel prose novel Target Kree. He also worked with Stan Lee, the late great Stan Lee, on the popular middle grade series Zodiac: A Legacy. But to me, he's the writer of one of my favorite comics in recent memory, Captain Ginger, about cats in space.
Thank you.
With the excellent artist and human being June Brigman. That's you need to check that out and talk more to Stuart and June. Stuart, thanks for coming today. Did you have a couple words you wanted to add?
You've covered that pretty well. I've also been a book editor and a comics editor. I was involved in the start of the Vertigo imprint at DC Comics, and I do some behind the scenes operations work now with Ahoy Comics, which publishes Captain Ginger and my other series, Bronze Age Boogie.
Yeah. And he was also part of the Marvel Knights line, which
Yes.
It doesn't get as much credit as it deserves, but that really kind of set the foundation for the modern Marvel that people see now. And I think we might have some even Marvel Knights creators out in the audience. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's a very Stuart's been a part of very pivotal things behind the scenes, but also has written comics. Lastly, we have Brian David Marshall. He's the president and publisher of Interpop. He's kind of part of the people behind doing this event here, and he's also a comics publisher and comics fan. Instead of me kind of Brian, would you like to tell more about yourself and kind of what you do in the comic space?
Sure, I've done a little bit of everything in the comic space. I started my own publishing company when I was in high school, which eventually became Malibu Entertainment and eventually got sold to Marvel Comics. I've done some writing for Marvel and DC. I've done some writing and editing for a couple of independent comics. And most recently, am ignoring a huge 20-year gap for gaming stuff. Eventually, have come back really into the comic space with Interpop. And we're publishing a line of free-to-read NFT comics, the first comics of which are set in the Emergence universe. And we are encouraging people to go to interpopcomics.com and read our first comic, but you can also go around this hall and find the signups for a swag bag and create a wallet and enter that wallet into the form, and we will send you a free NFT. It is super easy. And we will get you your first NFT comic and your first NFT trading card if you do that. So,
yeah.
Although I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces here, so I'm just assuming everybody in the audience has already done that by now. But I'm in that mode and I can't stop.
Yeah, we're here. Brian is really Brian and Tracy and Stuart are really on the cutting. Have been on the cutting edge of comics and kind of the growth of digital and what it can mean for comics to help people read and also just help comic creators make a living and in some cases make a better living. So what we're here today in the Evolution of Comics panel is to talk how comics have changed with the advent of technology, but also how technology is opening up more opportunities in comic space. The first thing I wanted to talk about is just how digital, not even just digital that we know it now in 2021, but even just how computers and the internet have changed things for comics readers. Tracy, you seem to be have been on the ground floor and kind of been part of this since the beginning. Kind of how do you put in a sentence or a paragraph how digital has changed and helped comics?
Um, well, actually, at this point, I feel like the only digital comics that are really feel like a natural experience are probably the ones that focus on digital first. So, like say like the webtoons, because I don't think actually there is any real authentic digital experience that comes out of the print books. And I know that even starting out when we first did the cyber comics, there was no way that we could really get the print material into that format. So we actually generated content for all of those. So my opinion overall is I feel like you have to design for the medium. And I know when we do different products in other fields, when I was at Hearst, you would develop for each medium or each channel. So I'm curious to see when more like traditional, like Marvel or DC artists actually start creating things maybe for something that's digital first. So that's what I find really interesting about what Interpop's going to be doing, where they're really just focused on the digital comic itself. So really, I think not so much for Marvel and DC yet, but I think out there's a lot of great comics in digital, and that's when they put it first.
Now, Tracy,
Yeah,
when you talk about doing cyber, I mean, didn't you do like the first digital comic? Really?
Yes. So, well, actually, when I came on to Marvel, they didn't have much of a web presence so much. They were just really being paid basically by AOL. And the first cyber comics that we did were on AOL, because I don't know if you remember, even like until recently, a lot of people were on, still on modems. And so we really had to be concerned with bandwidth, so we would just do 6 to 8 panels. We'd give them a layered Photoshop file, and that would be the webisode for the week. And so really, you really did have to write new content. There was no way that you were going to take things like right straight from the books and put it online at that time. And I'm not sure if it even really works that well now, even with Comixology, you can zoom in and out, you can have a PDF. A lot of people sell the ebooks, and then they have that guided view, but it's still not the same experience. It doesn't line up. So, so we created something new. And
I agree about. Sorry. I agree about Comixology, and I actually do read all my comics, almost all my comics from them. But it only works since I got a 13-inch iPad, because otherwise the devices are just too small. They're not, the American format comics are not made for that, and digital has been a very slow pickup for Marvel and DC stuff compared to the way ebooks have caught on for pros even. It just doesn't port very naturally.
It doesn't, and like a lot of times too, you have splash pages, you have double page spreads, you might even have a gatefold.
That's a mess.
And so so the authenticity just isn't about like the feel of paper. I mean, some people talk about that. It's really like understanding. You don't have the same understanding when you take those print comics and you put it into a digital format. Although I do read some of them too as a PDF, but I mean, it's just much better than the
I think the way Comixology is, it's digital comics, but it's trying to replicate the print comics experience. It's not really downgrading, but it's not trying to use what digital can do, but it's just trying to replicate the print comics experience. But like Stuart brought up a good point with like splash pages and stuff like that. In most cases, like I don't know, there is like the decisions on like how the guided view works isn't done by the artists of the comics or the creators. It's done by a third party, and they're talented people. I'm friends with them, but it's different than how the artist would choose for your eye to go, and it's sometimes it's just hard to appreciate some of the like the more dynamic ways that comics can be like in the Comixology format, just because it's trying to replicate the print experience while not I don't want to speak ill, but not like innovating the way that it could possibly be.
I think it's trying to be both mediums, right? It's trying to be able to say, okay, we're going to use this art here at digital, and then but we're also going to take this art to print. And something that we see in trading card games is when you're making a physical trading card game and you're making a digital trading card game, you can do very different behaviors. You can have very different rule sets because I'm never going to let you hold my cards or shuffle my cards into your deck in a physical game. But in a digital game, very easy to do, right? And that's just kind of, and we're not seeing that same kind of separation of the two,
Right.
of those
Yeah.
two digital and physical mediums in comics as much, because comics are so expensive to make, and
right, because it would be more work. It's more work.
Yeah.
Well, and Comixology was doing more of that at the beginning, and they were producing more sort of landscape format digital originals, and I don't think they were very popular. Like I don't think that's why people go to that site. I don't think that's what people buy from there. And as I say, I love the stuff, but you have to have a big screen. Like it doesn't work any other way. And the guided view is always, it's sort of a kludge, frankly. Like it's so you can read the stuff on a phone, even if you want. But it's not really, it doesn't play to the strengths of the medium very well.
I mean, do you guys look at webtoons at all? Do you follow any books or read on there?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Webtoon and Tapas.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it. They've done a really great job. Because you use panels for pacing, you have a grid, and you'll break the grid for impact, and there's a lot going on there. They've really come up with some unique solutions, just like for instance, Adam, who loves to break up the page, splash and that sort of thing. They've actually incorporated a lot of those same narrative techniques that comic book artists do, but like in a vertical format. That's a lot of interesting stuff on there.
Like, kind of switching this, how do you think digital has changed things for comic creators? Stuart, I know you have a lot to say about this, but Tracy, you're really plugged into that and kind of helping creators kind of speak on digital terms. Like, how has digital changed things for them?
Well, I've been working with some artists like Amanda Connor and Greg Hildebrandt, working with NFTs. So we've used them in a couple of different ways, with the artwork, authenticating the originals, maybe doing creator-owned artwork with new NFTs. But where we're most excited, but I don't feel like that people haven't really worked out the tools yet, is being able to deliver comics as a collectible in that format. So digitally, I think that for artists online, obviously they're able to build their fan base. They have those great fandoms in Tumblr, where a lot of people have fans and followers there, and a lot of great comics on Instagram. But I think where they can really have more control over their work and get it out there with the NFTs is because with the mechanism, with the digital, but also with the smart contract with resales and that sort of thing, and then the fact that you can include more with the NFT, they'll be able to expand more of the experience. And then they're also programmable. So if you have a certain amount of things, if you have a bunch of NFTs, maybe it generates a new NFT, or then maybe what you have actually changes over time as well. So, and then licensing too, you can do syndication with an NFT as well. You don't need a middleman, although a middleman's great to have. Like Interpop.
Speaking as a middleman, I mean, on my end of it, Tracy, you're on the cutting edge of all of that. On my end of it, I assume you're talking about just sort of comics production, which has obviously changed a lot over the years. I feel like a lot of this is old news now, because it's now been decades that artists have been using a wide variety of computer technology, which continues to get better every year. Matt Hollingsworth, who's one of the best colorists in the business, a year or two ago, he put a little tutorial up on Facebook where he was he had scanned in a classic painting. I can't remember what it was, and he was using the palette to color an entire comic book. And he had determined it would be appropriate. And I don't recommend people try this at home, because Matt really knows what he's doing. And you could wind up with a very limited sort of range of colors that wasn't appropriate. But he really pulled it together. It was beautiful when he was done. But he was that's a kind of an extreme example. But obviously, artists can now. It's a lot easier to fix mistakes. It's a lot easier to tweak things, and it's also helped the collaborative process immensely because imagery can be just sort of run by a writer or or an editor, like at any stage. And speaking as a writer, I love the way that lets me tweak scripts and do a lettering draft before the book is finished, which back in the old days we didn't always have time to do. We usually didn't have time to do.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how many steps went into making a comic book before digital, right? Like, the idea that you would go to
Federal
the
Express. Yeah.
Yes, scripting, pencil pages, tune the script, letter the pages, ink the pages, Xerox the pages, and hand notate the color guides, and then a bunch of old women in Murphy Anderson's basement would cut a bunch of ruby lith, and that would turn into the film to make the comics. It's crazy, right? It's amazing how streamlined that process is. I mean, it was months and months, and now it's just months and months.
Yeah, I don't. Chris mentioned I think that I'd spent a little time at Marvel Knights, and I don't like to take a lot of credit for Marvel Knights because it was well underway when I got there, and Jimmy and Joe had really put it all together. But when I did get there, it was coming off of DC, which was a very, very traditionally run company, very slow to change production methods. And I knew, like, I was always pushing them, but I knew intellectually, but it hit me really hard when I got to Marvel at that point, just how easy it was to make a comic book, because they had a digital workflow. It was nowhere near as streamlined as it would be today, but you could do all kinds of things just at the last minute. It was just much, much, much faster.
Like what I really appreciate. Sorry, like what I really appreciate about digital, it's kind of like a bigger picture thing, not a specific thing, is just how it's allowed people from all over the world, from different backgrounds, to participate in comics and create comics, and even do panels like these. Like, it would be pretty hard to get the four of us here in the same room, but like it just took us like one video call and some emails, and we're together. But just in terms of like allowing it to diversify the comics workforce has been just, I can't like discount like how much of a help that is, because 50 years ago or even 20 years ago, like many of my favorite comics creators may not have been able to find a place for them, just for the fact of they can't come to conventions, or they can't I don't know, speak English or things like that. But I
and
can speak all day about that.
We haven't even really touched on the idea, on the more, I guess, more at this point traditional web comics, where people put up their own series and just attract people that way. Because that was a real do-it-yourself phenomenon that's brought a lot of people from very different backgrounds into the field.
Yeah, you used to have to do that at a Xerox place.
Yeah, and then nobody would see it.
And nobody would see it. Yeah, you sell a few at your record store or something like that, or your local comic shop. And a couple. Adrian Tomine, probably the notable example there. Is someone who he had very, very nice Xerox comics.
Yeah. Oh, there were a lot, but
yeah.
It took a while.
I still have my long arm stapler. Like, if anybody needs it to make some.
I have one too. Actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Many weekends at Kinko's during a San Diego Comic-Con over the years.
There's still nothing quite like putting together a little physical sampler. If you're gonna table somewhere, it's great to have just a little tiny comic to give away or something like that. It's still fun.
Stuart, when you were at Marvel Knights, I don't know if you remember me from them too, but it was really great though about Jimmy and Joe is what an interest that they took in anything that we were doing in online. Like any new technology that we were doing, they were looking into it and they wanted to be part of it. And we did so many things with like the Marvel previews. I don't know, did you do any of those interviews? We would take shots, process, and share a lot of the books.
I don't remember a lot of that. I think
Right.
Jimmy was gone when I started.
Okay.
And Joe, I basically replaced Joe Quesada at the imprint when he became
Right.
editor-in-chief. That was how it worked. So it was pretty late on in that process. We did a lot of books after that, but no, I don't remember a lot of that. And I'm not sure how
Yeah.
long they kept your whole department around after I started. I remember you guys all on that, what they called the ice cube tray. It was that row of cubicles. They called it the ice cube
right.
tray because it was too wide, two cubicles wide.
Right. Right. No, but it was funny because at that time we had all these things going on in the cyber comics, and then we were trying to do a lot of things with real audio, and it was hard getting a lot of the bullpen into it because they were so into their way of doing things. And I just remember how the Marvel Knights crew, they were just so open to anything. They just wanted to try anything.
It was a very flexible operation. I really appreciated that about it. It was we could really move on our feet. It was great that way.
Yeah.
Tracy brought up something before this that I wanted to talk about here is modern readers and their actual ability to how much they can take in with a digital comics. What's called a cognitive load. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah.
But how much can we, as comics creators, I say we, but how much can we expect for readers to be able to take on something new and to kind of understand it, and for that newness to wear off and become true appreciation of digital comics in various forms?
So I think you're talking a little bit it's called cognitive load theory, what we use in user experience when you're giving people media. And what Comixology is actually trying to do with the guide of view, that is a version of that. But what happens with a print comic is you have a hierarchy, and where that happens, you look at the whole page together as splash, and then you'll kind of narrow it down to reading through it. The way that we had to do the cyber comics, and a lot of ways that people do web comics, they kind of are breaking things up so it kind of makes sense. You have the whole idea. So it's it's to make it more digestible. That's the way to think about it. And you probably want to convey one idea at a time. And if you are conveying more than one, you definitely want, like I said before, a clear hierarchy where you can kind of dive into it.
How do you approach basically in choosing how to deliver that when some people may be reading comics on a big screen like Stuart, like a 13-inch tablet, or some people may be reading that same comic on a little phone or something like that? How do you, knowing there's so many different ways it's going to be read, how do you, I don't want to say control the user experience, but kind of prepare for that?
Well, it's kind of strange. So even if you have a large monitor, most people have a central viewing point, right? So it works better. Even the vertical scroll in the webtoons, it actually does work better even on a landscape laptop for people. So when you're looking at things, so that's kind of the way that the digital could work. I've seen, landscape also, it works, but the great thing about the vertical scroll is you can kind of build an idea together, and as you're scrolling up, it kind of reveals, and it works really well. I don't know if that helps, but
yeah.
But it's funny is artists actually who do a lot of storytelling and narrative really understand, they have a good instinct for understanding, cognitive load theory or ideas or hierarchy or delivering information. It's something that they do. When someone's really good at putting together a narrative page, they understand that, So I think that if they're more involved in looking at what medium that you're serving, they'll be able to come up with some really great solutions. I know, because Adam and I go back and forth on things all the time. He has great ideas, even in graphic design, even when I was working for Hearst, because he understands.
Yeah, we went to landscape pages for the Emergence comics, and it was definitely a little bit of an arm wrestle with some of the artists at first about adopting to this different pagination, right, for a comic, but as people have worked on it and understand it and start to see how people are going to read the comics and how you're going to move through that story, it's actually been really interesting to watch them lean into it and really adopt their storytelling to that, and realizing that it is very medium specific, and that these are not necessarily being drawn to be just read in a pamphlet. So it is a different it's a different storytelling experience.
Yeah, I have one more question, but as I ask it, if people want to get ready and line up in front of the microphones for questions, once we finish this, we'll turn to audience questions. Stuart, as the foremost comics writer here, how do you adapt and things like that final panel on a page, like that page turn where you want to give them something evocative to want to turn the page? How do you handle that when you're creating something that's going to be digital or read a digital first on a phone? How do you just, I don't know, what do you do in that situation?
Well, I've dabbled in webtoons a bit. I haven't written anything for Line, but I did some stuff for a startup called Stila, and I did I've actually done I did a proof of concept thing for DC that no one's ever seen. But it's well, it's a different. You actually don't have exactly that consideration because you don't have the end of a page. You have you can set a break point, and usually then you'll want the artist or the or whoever's compiling it to work in more space or a chapter break or something like that. But it doesn't work quite the same way. I think when I'm writing more traditional format comic, I hate that terminology actually. When I'm writing more American format traditional comics, with that size page, I do think of the page as a unit, and I try to work in. I try to work in some sort of a beat at the end. Usually, I think of it in musical terms. I usually want an upbeat of some kind to pull you on to the next page, but I also don't want to get stuck in a steady rhythm and do too many pages in a row with the same rhythm. I guess again, like feel. You want to break it up. You don't want your tricks to start being obvious. You want to take the reader on, and of course, it depends on what's going on in the scene and what the characters are doing, because that's the most important thing. When I'm writing print comics, I do think of that stuff mostly instinctively, but sometimes I'll try to put a real punchline at the end of a scene. When I'm writing something for digital, it's a little more. It is more fluid. It's more you can rearrange what we would think of as the page structure a little more and put a few more beats or fewer beats in the middle and put the breaks in different places. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if I quite answered the question.
No, this is like I could ask you questions about that all day. I love process. Okay, we now have time for questions. Alyssa here might chip in for some help to help coordinate that, but I'll pause now for someone to ask questions.
Yep, if you just go over to any of the microphones, you stand in front of the microphone just like you would at a normal convention. It will turn on your mic, and we can hear you. It's been a mixed bag. It's been a mixed bag today with the microphone. So we've gotten a couple of good turnouts, but it is the end of the day. We understand.
Everyone's tired, just like at a regular.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm telling you, this has last panel of the weekend energy. Very, very much. Just like we've all been there. All right.
Sebuh?
All right, you got to unmute your microphone so we can hear you, though.
Hello, how do you do?
Good. How are you?
So this is like comic book and storytelling panel mainly, and I have a friend that writes science fiction novels and draws characters that look like they would be trading cards, and I want to see how I can get him, maybe interviewed to be able to be an artist in some way, because he's barely scratching into the NFT world, and onboarding artists is kind of one of the hard parts, I think.
Brian,
Well,
did you want to speak
I
on
was just
that?
gonna say, I was gonna say, if you want to share some stuff, have them share some stuff with us on the Interpop Twitter. We'd love to look at that, or say even send us some direct messages there, or
Okay.
just email at info@interpop.io, and we'll always look at people's work. Honestly,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also just put your work out there and do it, right? Like I think something Tracy was talking about, the idea that it's so accessible right now for artists to create their own work, put it online, do it as a webcomic, is a big part of getting yourself out there and doing it, right? I think that in any endeavor, creative endeavor right now, like just picking up the banner and going to war with your stuff, right, is just the way to go, and people will discover you, right? They will find your work, and it will compound, and you will accumulate an army of people who are on your side for what you want to do.
Yeah, I know many people who've gotten work at the major publishing companies just by posting their stuff on social media and having kind of a link to a portfolio to
Yeah.
kind of show what they can do. So yeah, like if you do that to the Interpop, you can also tag me. My Twitter name is pretty much what my name is up here, and I'll promise to retweet it. Like if you do it, I have about some followers.
Yeah, and portfolio days on Twitter are really good
Mhm.
too. And I I don't do a lot of Instagram, but I'm sure that's pretty popular there too.
Okay. Do we have another question from somebody?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like Tez Tease is thinking about it.
There he is.
I see you.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Does Testes want to go first?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Is there going to be like a big focus on interactability with the webcomics, and what is that going to look like? Are you going to kind of vote with your NFTs, or is it just going to be open for anyone?
No, it is going to be very much NFT ownership is going to unlock voting on the comics. So that's really one of the big differentiators about what we're doing with our digital platform, is that we are going to have characters die. Characters are going to what they're wearing, what covers look, which cover sketch gets turned into a finished cover piece, is all going to be opened up to fan governance, and those votes will be determined through NFT ownership, and it's going to work a lot of different ways for a lot of different types of votes. I think there'll be some, that will be there will be some votes that are open to anybody with any Interpop NFT comic, and there will be some that will be very specific to a specific issue. So you need to own this specific issue to vote on this specific instance.
Awesome, I love it.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. Our editor's really fretting about it, but it definitely throws a monkey wrench into some of the scheduling. But you're going to see some pretty major events happen in this universe that are going to be determined by fans. We really don't know. We start talking about our second arc of stories, and we literally are like, well, we don't know if that character will be alive. we actually don't know if that character is going to make it out of here. So what do we do? How do we plan for this? And it's presented some interesting challenges, but we're really excited about how that's going to work and how people are going to receive that, and figuring out what else we can be doing with that beyond the handful of things that we're implementing with our first issues.
Oh man, I feel bad for that character who's going to die now. Poor guy.
Don't feel bad for me.
No.
I love all of these characters, and I don't want them to die. But that's
drama.
Cycle of life. Yeah.
Like I always root for the underdog, so it'll be I'm like interesting to see if there's some like fan voting put up that kind of hoist up what maybe a minor character to become like a fan favorite. And,
yeah, that's a nice.
I'd like to see something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we're doing is we do have an anthology comic, which is going to have a lot of goes through the universe and touches on a lot of the different characters. because there are a lot of them to, touch on. And I think that's something you're going to see come out of there, because we're not just focusing on the most major characters in the universe always, right? So it's going to be story driven, and I think you will see that some of those characters are going to be voted forward into bigger and more active roles in the universe.
Yeah, I remember Hoy Comics did something like that recently, and I had a lot of fun like seeing that happen.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah,
anthology.
Steel Cage. We did a one shot. I wrote one of the stories. We had fans vote on which story should continue. Unfortunately, the voting was really corrupt. Like we didn't care. We didn't really.
I'm
weren't really
happy to
going for
hear that,
scientific
Stuart.
accuracy.
I'm sorry, but I'm happy to hear that. I was like, oh no, it was corrupt. Great.
I won, and then I was robbed because they claimed I stuffed the ballot box, but I don't know what happened.
It sounds just like a steel cage in pro wrestling, where they figure out ways around it.
Well, one of the great things about Ahoy Comics, which I do work with quite a bit, is that here's how it works. Sometimes is that I came up with the idea for that series, and I said, the idea was Topcast done things a little bit like this, but just kind of a reader vote on which series should continue. And I threw it at Tom Pyre, the editor-in-chief, and he said, Steel Cage. So that was how it came together.
I did a comic many, many years ago called Battle to the Death, which was like zombies versus ninjas versus, Japanese superheroes, etc. But we didn't let anyone vote.
That's within the story. Yeah.
Yeah, we just killed people off from issue to issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we have someone else that has a question? Thank you, Paisley, for that question.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Well, first, I just want to thank you all for doing this, sharing your time, sharing your insight and wisdom. I have a question that is not directly related to this, but it is also. Do you all have any favorite artists or storytellers outside of comics that you'd like to share?
I have a lot of writers I could name. I'm fond of sort of weird, off-kilter genre writers, like Philip K. Dick and Charles Willeford, Cordwainer Smith.
Stuart, you're my best friend.
And I never knew it. There are. I could go on. I don't know. Just recently in artwork, I've been catching up on Mobius through Comixology, which has had the stuff on extreme discount sale actually, and that's brilliant stuff. Like I hadn't revisited that work for a long time. The Inkle, things like that. Beautiful, nice. Beautiful work. Anybody else?
This is
Tracy go.
Yeah, Tracy.
I've been reading the Naomi Novik. She writes those stories with the dragons and the Napoleonic Wars. Have anybody read those that series? I know Peter Jackson had it under contract for making a movie, but I've been reading. So that's mostly like I like history and then fantasy together. A lot of books.
I think one of my favorite storytellers outside of the comic medium is John Sayles, the director. Mm-hmm. Both as a short storyist, to make up a word, and as a filmmaker. I love. If you want to see just an amazing film, watch Lone Star, and then watch The Legend of Rowan, and then watch I forget if it's The Legend of or The Secret of Rowan Inish. Films he made in pretty close proximity to each other, both just absolutely, completely different films, and just beautifully told. The storytelling is so complex and so patient. They're really marvels. He is probably my favorite film director of all time, and I think one of the most criminally underrated filmmakers in of our time. So
where can I catch those?
Amazon Prime certainly has a bunch of those. I definitely made a bunch of people watch. We do a virtual movie club. I made people watch 2 of those on Amazon. So
the Brother from Another Planet. That's another good.
Yes,
one.
Yeah,
that's an early one of his. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, he came out of the
really
Corman
good.
Studios and did a bunch of like weird stuff like Piranha 2 and Crocodile, but then I think Brother was his first. It was either that or Return of the Skaka 7. That was his first real movie. Yeah. And Joe Morton, who went on to fame in Scandal.
Yeah, starred Brother from Another Planet.
So fantastic director.
My answer is going to be a cheat, but there's some cover artists and pinup artists who haven't done comics that I'd really like to see branch out into that. Like Kevin Wada, I'd like to see do that. I'd like to see Dave Johnson come and do more comics again, like actual comics. And Jen Bartel, who's best known as a cover artist, but when, in the rare opportunity she does do actual comics, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like it's like a gift, like with every page.
Along the same lines, Ahoy has a new book out called Blacksmith, and the covers are by Liana Kangas, and they're gorgeous. They're amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a great.
Yeah,
it's a great
question. It was a good leading question. Yeah. let us just talk about stuff.
We only have a couple more
what are
minutes,
things you like?
Yeah.
What do you like? You like stuff? Yeah.
We only have a few more minutes, but if anybody has any last question, if you line up, we'll try to fit you in.
Everybody's just dancing.
Yeah. I think it might be time for happy hour.
Oh, here's somebody.
Sounds good.
There's somebody at the mic, but I can't.
No one.
Is there a dead dog party for this where you go after the convention?
I think we're all going to grab a beer or a bourbon or, flavored seltzer and meet in the lobby and just have a happy hour.
I have another leading question.
Sure. Go ahead.
Great.
I just asked this in the little Q&A thing that the people were having in the lobby before this. Just a fun question. Just what excites you about the future?
Well, I feel like this is coming to me here. I'm really excited about it sounds weird to talk about, you talk about NFTs and there's so much that people talk about with NFTs that, stores of value and all this kind of stuff. But for me, I'm really excited about this opportunity to underwrite telling comic book stories for free, right? I know Tracy had mentioned the webtoons, right? I think that's just such a, things like that are such an amazing opportunity. And then finding ways to help people find value in owning these comics, right? And not just promising that value, right? Not just saying this will be worth a lot of money, come do this, right? It's not like just, step 3 profit comics, right? It's, hey, we want to tell stories. We want to, and again, we're starting with these superhero comics and this universe, but this is just sort of the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to be doing. We have, licensed properties coming up. We're looking forward to doing a creator-owned line as well. And, it's really exciting for me to be able to just be an evangelist for this medium, which as popular as comics have gotten, I think there's still a lot of room for the medium to expand it to more people's lives. And I think that NFTs give us an opportunity to do that. The same way you might see free-to-play games work. We call these free-to-read comics. And so we want a lot of people to participate. And then the people who see the value in participating even more get to do that. And I hope I'm right.
We all hope you're right. Yeah. There's also I think Tracy, you mentioned this in your when you sent over your biographical information. There's an interesting thing that Rachel's talked about with us too, that NFTs allow you to potentially keep a chain of income going back to the original creators on a perpetual basis in a way that no other medium can do. So I only half understand it myself, but that sounds interesting. That's an interesting thing. I want to see how that works out.
Right, and then also the secondary market, because right now, if you own an ebook, you just own it. You can't even give it to someone. Really,
you don't even own it.
This way you could sell it. No, you're like, it's like an unlimited renting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the way it works now is, you buy a comic for $10, and there's a royalty to the creator, and then something happens. Let's just say there's a movie deal, that comic becomes really valuable, people are excited about it, and hypothetically, and it goes, and you're able to sell that comic for $100. Well, that 11 to $100, that $90 there, the creators would never see any of that in the physical world, but in this NFT space, we're able to pay royalties on any sort of value over the previous sale of a comic.
Right. It's a huge benefit to the publisher and the creator.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine if Steve Ditko was able to get a piece of a $2 million Amazing Fantasy 15 sale. Right? Even some small little, sliver of that. And we're doing more than a small sliver, but
Yeah.
Right. And that goes for art too.
Yeah,
not just
yes,
the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think for anybody that cares for creator rights and the creators that they're fans of, being able to be compensated for their work, like not just that one-time sale, but with the resale, like without it costing the consumers really more than it would otherwise. I think that's a win-win for everybody. Like for the creators to really continue to earn off the work they did, and but also just as like the comics art snob of me, just to get to see more Steve Ellis artwork too is also a treat. Big fan of Steve Ellis.
Steve's
Here,
great.
here. Yep.
And he again, don't tell Dave Gallagher, but I think this is the best work of Steve's career. So. All right,
Okay.
well,
I think that is it for everybody. Like some of
Yeah.
us maybe milling around afterwards, and we're all available on social media.
Yep.
Like I'm going to go one by one, and if everybody could just shout out their social media where they want people to find it. You want to go first?
Sure. I have Tracy Loves Work at twitter.com, but I'm a very sporadic tweeter.
I'm always very excited when you like one of my tweets, Tracy, because you're not very visible always.
I'm more of a voyeur.
But I feel good. I
But,
always take
know,
that as a gold star.
Yeah.
Okay. Brian, did you want to say where you are?
Sure.
Like either.
I'm at Top 8 Games, TOP 8 Games on Twitter. Also, you can follow at Interpop. But and I am a very I tweet enough for myself and for Tracy. I'm a pretty voracious tweeter. That is my. I thought I was going to grow up to be a comic book writer, but instead I grew up to be a tweeter. That's just kind of what happened. So.
I bet your mom was proud.
She is. She thinks I'm very funny. So I don't know.
Stuart, where can they find you and ask you about Cats in Space?
Cats in Space. I'm at Stuart Moore 1, the numeral 1, on Twitter and Facebook. And for some reason on Instagram, it's Stuart Moore 01. But it's all pretty easy to remember.
He also knows about ducks, too. Just ask him about ducks. He has
I
a
do?
book to sell you. Deadpool the Duck.
Oh, Deadpool the Duck, of course. Yes. How could I forget? Yeah.
Didn't you also do like Quack to the Future or something? Like, didn't you also do a Howard the Duck Spider-Man thing?
I did a Howard the Duck
great idea.
Spider-Man one shot. Yeah, but Deadpool the Duck, I'm pretty proud of. That was a mashup of the two characters forced to inhabit the same body. That was really fun to write.
My name is Chris Arendt. You can find me at Chris Arendt on Twitter or Instagram or pretty much whatever social media. I try to stake that out. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and I hope you have a good rest of the block party.
All right. Thanks, Chris, for hosting this. And thank you, Tracy and Stuart, for participating. That's going to be it for our programming for the weekend. But thank you so much to everybody who showed up and participated. And, we're going to be hanging out in the lobby, doing a happy hour if you want to catch up with some people. I'm going to go grab a beer, pop a lime in it, and I'll be right back and hanging out for the next half hour, an hour. And
Alright, well, that was kind of cool. We're gonna take a little break now and get some drinks, kick back and chill time.
It's positively stunning.
Where was the pool? Wasn't there like a pool somewhere? Trying to remember. That was the cool spot. Yeah, here it is. Alright, here's good. Let's change up the music, gang. Alright, well, I'm gonna close the stream down for a while for now. Thanks for joining, everybody, and have a nice day.